What does that S on your chest stand for? In Kryptonian, it's a $sign. Everybody, this is my review for Man of Steel, and I finally went out and saw it. I kind of wanted to wait a few minutes till the crowd died down a little bit, and I knew you're going to watch a ton of videos anyways about this movie, so I'm going to do basically a spoiler-filled review. So let's start off. Man of Steel 2013, directed by Zack Snyder, stars Henry Cavill as Superman, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Russell Crowe's in there as Jor-El, Michael Shannon is Zod, and right off the bat, the first thing I want to say is I can't believe how sci-fi they made it. One of the most sci-fi comic books movies I've ever seen, definitely. I mean, I really love the art direction, the aesthetic they have on Krypton, the art direction for all the, armor and stuff. It's a little over the top, but it's like cool, like over the top. Just love the textures of things. I love the nanotechnology sort of computer thing they used. It looks like little black dots. You can see it on the trailer a little bit. That stuff was all cool. Aesthetically, in the first 20 minutes of the film, I already liked the movie better than the Avengers or any of the Marvel films. So aesthetically, the movie is very pleasing. CGI-wise, it's very CGI heavy. So the CGI doesn't look 100% great all the time, but overall, it's definitely grade A CGI. And the one thing about the beginning was the way they just, like I said, jumped into the sci-fi, the way they set up Krypton with the creatures and stuff. And that's one thing I could see some people not liking. I was even a little meh about the creatures, these big flying creatures and stuff like that. They really put it out there as like a completely alien world where, humanoid looking people live on. They have a nice little setup between Russell Crowe and Zod, a little beginning scene. And then it leads to basically the origin story of Superman. Slightly, it's done through flashbacks, and that's another problem I know people are going to have is the narrative. Some of the chatter I've seen, I've heard people saying they didn't like the narrative. It jumps back from present day to the past, and in the past, of course, you're getting kind of your Jonathan Kent, Smallville stuff, and Kevin Costner is great as Jonathan Kent. I love the questions and the philosophies they're touching on here. Can people deal with this, otherworldly person, the way it would destroy people's faith, and all that stuff. All that, philosophical stuff they touch on in the film. I thought all that stuff was really strong. Kevin Costner, really strong performance. All the performances overall are really strong. Some of the best scenes I thought, besides the action scenes, but actually the best scenes in the movie are the scenes between Henry Cavill and Diane Lane. She plays Martha Kent, and just those scenes were just very touching. It's like a perfect conversation between a mother and a son, and she's like, I don't know, it just came off really good. Those are, to me, the best scenes. And, you get into your action. Basically, the plot is Zod comes to Earth looking for Superman, if you can't tell from the trailers. He unleashes hell on Earth, making Superman turn himself over. He threatens the Earth. Superman has to turn himself over. And I really like the part 2 where Superman had to gain the trust of the U.S. military. And the way that played out was really cool. The best scene of the film, action-wise, is probably the scene where Superman faces off against the Kryptonians in Smallville. That scene, I had a freaking grin ear to ear the whole time on that scene. It was awesome. Fiora, who I haven't mentioned yet, probably stole the show from Zod a little bit, I would say. I think she was more of a bad guy than Zod. Awesome. Great looking girl. Looks awesome the way the special effects are done, and she is just vicious. I expected from the trailers her to, turncoat a little bit and help Superman out, but nope, she's just badass. And that scene in Smallville, awesome stuff. And it harkens back to the original second Superman. I love that's kind of how I felt about this movie, that it was basically a mishmash of the first 2 Superman films. I can see people having problems, though. By the end of the film, after the Smallville battle, it, gets into more of the hardcore, just crazy action. And, it just gets a little too over the top, I thought. I mean, some of the action sequences, there's one part where okay, basically Zod has these things called world creators or world builders or whatever. And basically it's a device that hooks onto the Earth and picks shit up and slams it down. And I was just laughing at that. I'm like, not only does it destroy the Earth, but in the meantime, while it's destroying the Earth, it's going to pick shit up and slam it down. It's going to pick shit up and slam it down. And then, of course, they have one on Metropolis, one at the Indian Ocean. And then Superman has to fight this thing. And I don't want to get too much into it, but that scene was just kind of like all over the place. And at parts, it kind of fades into white. And so it was a little, it was kind of losing me there. And then you have your final battle with Zod, and I like that. That was a good scene, not as good as the battle scene in Smallville. But I just kept thinking at the end of the movie, I was like, people in Metropolis would hate Superman. I mean, it is really cool special effects-wise what they do. They destroy city buildings, this, that, everything gets fucking destroyed in this movie. And I was like, God, if I was in Metropolis, and another thing I was thinking was, not only is everything getting destroyed, how many fucking people are getting killed over this? And I know Superman's trying to help the Earth as a whole, which is fine, but they're not explaining the, collateral deaths that are happening all on the side here, and it's like, 10 buildings collapse. I mean, basically by the end, it looks like they're fighting an apocalypse, which was really cool visually, but I was like, and then the end when Superman has to take out Zod, that scene was a little, and I was choke him out, choke him out. I mean, if you've seen, I don't want to tell you what happens. I'll just choke his ass out. But I really like the fact that they kept Superman overall the entire film kind of sappy. He still wasn't like as brooding as Batman, even though he had a little more issues about this big coming out party. And basically that's what Superman is. It's like the way they portray this film is like this big coming out. It's like, can I reveal myself? Should I? How are they going to take it? Blah blah blah. And it's a cool concept, and the way they do it is funny. I mean, they literally have a scene where he like comes out, and I don't know. I mean, there's moments where it's hit or miss, and all the criticisms. Like I said, I didn't watch any reviews or read anything, but I've seen some chatter, and what I've seen was all valid, definitely. Personally, I feel the film is better than the Avengers. I think the special effects look better. I think the art direction and the aesthetics are better. Doesn't look quite as cartoony as Avengers, even though it does get very cartoony, very comic booky at times. But that's what the source material is. People think they treat the source material like it was the Donner films. It's not the Richard Donner films. It's Action Comics. It's Superman versus Batman. It's all these crazy Superman comics that have been coming over the years, and they have this crazy kind of sci-fi action aesthetic to them. And I think that was brought through in the film really well, even though it's not a perfect film. So I think I'm going to get Man of Steel 4 out of 5 stars. I am going to watch it again. There is a couple of little hints to other characters in it. I'll leave those to your, to watch it. It's nothing big, believe me. So 4 out of 5 stars. In my head, it's better than the Avengers. So I'm definitely recommending it, but listen to the criticisms. I think they're all valid. But, if you consider paying $8 for Silent Hill 2 or Chernobyl Diaries, or paying $8 to see this movie, if you're getting your money's worth on this movie, at least you're getting a good soundtrack, you're getting awesome special effects, an awesome aesthetic, a pretty good story, some good scenes mixed in with some bad scenes. And that's one thing I will say too. The worst scene in this movie I thought was sort of the dream sequence he has when he's talking to Zod, and you can tell in the trailer when he's sinking into the skulls. That to me was the worst scene, and that's kind of almost where the movie I thought jumped the shark a little bit. Even though I am recommending to watch Man of Steel, I think it's a movie, for all its faults, it's the type of film you got to see on the big screen. That's the way it was intended to be seen. So that's it. I've rambled on for like 8.5 minutes about Man of Steel. Tell me what you thought about it below, about the machine that picked stuff up and dropped it. What do you think? Do you think it's going to beat Avengers in the box office? That's what I want to know. I want to see this movie fight the Avengers somehow. I don't know. I think Superman will whoop all the Avengers. Sorry. And the thing with Avengers 2, I'm going to keep rambling on. The thing with Avengers 2, the only good characters that have any depth are Iron Man and the Hulk. The other ones are just kind of flat, and at least Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel has, emotion. There's depth to him as a character. There's a lot more going on, just to me, with Superman than there is with a lot of those Marvel characters. Thor, who gives a shit? Hawkeye, who gives a shit? Scarlet, Black Widow, whatever, fucking who gives a shit? It's at least Superman. There's like some, he's trying to be like the perfect human, the perfect man. He's trying to be Superman, and that's not only does he call it Superman, he tries to live into that sort of like. So all right, whatever. I'm gonna stop rambling. Tell me what you thought down below if you want to cuss me out. Tell me how much better the Avengers were. I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.